All right. Hi, my name's Alex. I'm from Houston. I'm a psych major and I'm minoring in sociology, and I'm 19.
Nice.
My name is Cade Favaron, and I'm a senior at Texas State. I am a major in psychology with a minor in sociology from Austin. I plan on moving there after I graduate, and I'm 22.
Nice. Hi, I'm DeAngela Jones. I am a sociology major with a minor in diversity studies. I'm a senior, about to be 26 in March. Um, what else? Oh yeah, I plan on going to grad school in August after I have my baby in July. So this whole year and semester is pretty kind of different because it's COVID. And then plus I'm pregnant. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm from San Antonio, but the grad school I want to go to is in Houston. I want to go to Texas Southern or PV.
Nice. Okay. Hi, my name is Liliana Rodriguez. I am a senior at Texas State with a major in digital media innovation with a minor in diversity studies. I am also graduating in May, and I'm from Houston. Alrighty, so we're going to start with the first question for this week's module, and it's how do you define / understand pop culture? Anybody wants to chime in first?
I'll hop in. For me, how I would define it is, it just kind of defines a modern culture for me. I mean, it's not so much as traditions as it is like things that are popular and current at the time. But I feel like nowadays, it's more like some of that stuff is more important than traditions. I feel like traditions have gone away over the past few years. But I mean, like when you can define a generation's culture, a lot of it is about what's popular, like what music they're listening to, or what app or whatever's going viral or famous at the time, or using Twitter. So I think like all those little things define a culture, and I think we have a lot of little subcultures that are all defined by what's popular to those people.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
For me, I define pop culture basically like what's most widely known and accepted in the culture. And I also look at it as a way that separates the majority from the minority. Like to me, pop culture is obviously like what's popular, what's the new thing, what's the cool thing. And some people are up there and some people aren't. So, pop culture.
Well, my definition of pop culture, well, I thought pop culture was just like about music. I don't know why, but it just brought like pop culture and music for me. Um, for what I've like read through like on the modules, like pop culture isn't necessarily like high culture, like it can be with low culture and like comes from like influence from like people that aren't as popular as like the people that are like up there. So I feel like most trends come from people like with like small popularity, like small like creators. And like obviously that's like a big issue with like people stealing their content and like stealing all their pop culture stuff that they started.
I agree. I also thought pop culture was more like music, but after like going through the modules, it's like music, movies, apps, fashion, makeup, really like politics, a whole bunch of different things. And when I also went through the modules, I saw that she talked about like grassroots culture and how that mainly comes from like the streets and like graffiti's like a form of that, or like streetwear. And I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's probably how I think about it now. And it's really something that I feel like just brings a lot of people together. And like it can create a whole bunch of like subcultures and like groups, and like a lot of people can have like something that's in common within pop culture.
Yeah. So that goes into our next question, which is what type of pop culture are you most excited for? The most excites for you, exciting for you. I guess I can start this one. For me, it's the grassroots culture. I mean, pop culture, because that is like exciting from like I said from the last question, like from the smaller content creators and like how they kind of start the new trends and stuff. And like that also does make me upset when like big creators steal from small creators because it's like you didn't work hard, you just stole off somebody. So yeah.
Agreed.
For me, I'd say the pop culture that's most exciting is probably like music, fashion, makeup, movies, of course, or streaming apps like Netflix, Hulu. Um, and I mean, one that's big right now is obviously like politics. And yeah, I think that's like what I find myself spending like most of my time within pop culture right now.
I think the thing that's most exciting for me is not necessarily like a particular category of pop culture, but more that that it can change. It's super flexible. I feel like it changes every year, just given what the trends are each year. But I think it's exciting, obviously, because it changes often, and so you're just like constantly having to adapt to popular culture as you grow up. And I think our generation in particular has probably seen the most dramatic change. Like we went from flip phones to what we have now, like when we were little. So, I think we've seen like so much change, and I think it's cool because now everyone can have their own platform and say what they want to say. And it's definitely hard not to get stepped on by, big people who have these huge platforms and can kind of like squash you and take your ideas, like you were saying. But I mean, I think it's just more exciting than anything else.
For me, it would be any type of fashion. Like, I love the different trends. I love the stuff that are probably not trending. The whole fashion world excites me. So in some of the modules, they were talking about like how the looks are like from back in the day with the hipster look, or the mom jeans, and that's becoming popular now. So I think it's very fascinating to see how it kind of just changes and it brings people out. I think it's interesting. And I'll go into the next question. The next question is, how does pop culture bring meaning to your experience? And I'll start. I like pop culture and what it represents, but I also want to bring the subcultures to light because, that's part of it. Part of my family does represent a subculture in the US, and that's military affiliation. When I think it's 1% of the US is in the military, even though a lot of people are in the military, but also the US is big. So I kind of get it. But it really, just growing up with both parents that were in the Air Force, that's when you see on my collage, you see Air Force. You probably thought I was in, but I'm not. It's just my parents and my little brother. I grew up where everything I knew was military, like military bases, traveling to different countries, living on bases, and it's like our own little city, our own little way of life. So when you kind of get out that subculture and you see the different world, it's really different. So yeah, it's just crazy. Now that they're retired, I'm more out there and I travel a lot and I see other countries and all of that. But I think it was just a good time to shout out to the subcultures in America.
I actually have something interesting to say about that, or like the subculture of military culture. So neither of my parents were in the military, but both of their parents were.
Okay.
So they had a lot of cool stories like growing up on base and like that. And my mom grew up on base in in Tokyo, Japan, for a few
Yeah.
years, and she talked about these interesting stories, which I feel like kind of tie into pop culture, where during Christmas there would be like there was a store and all the kids wanted American toys for Christmas, and so there was a store that would sell American toys just to the people that were on base so that they could get their
Yeah.
kids if they wanted in the United States.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, that like a piece of pop culture, like it was so important to kids at the time that like they felt the need to add a store on base just where the moms could go and get Christmas presents for the kids. So that's why I thought that was really interesting.
And I want to add on that before we kind of move on. So also that experience, like I've lived a lot of different places. Like my siblings were born in Germany. So when they hear that, especially like a minority person, like you were born in Germany. So it's like this whole different, they have dual citizenship. So it's like this whole different world that you usually, don't see from people that, lived in Texas all their life or lived in a certain particular city all their lives. So it's just like crazy. And then I'm from Las Vegas. So it's like, what? Who is this chick? She's from Las Vegas. She lived in Germany. She lived in Florida and she's born in Mississippi. And now she's here in Texas. So it just gives you, shout out to the military, it just gives you this broad entrance to seeing the world. So I just wanted to add that on.
Yeah, I agree.
To add on to that, my dad was actually also in the military. He was in the Navy for, I believe it was 11 years. And he, traveled the world, saw a whole bunch of subcultures and different pop cultures wherever he was. And once we kind of settled down in the US and he got a job with the military here, we used to move around a lot. And, I lived in Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan. We lived in Florida for a little bit, then we moved here. But like everything was so different, like all the little pop cultures and everything that made up each of those states or those cities were so interesting to see how different they were. Especially here, how the music here, I guess for pop culture, is more like country and just the slang that we use here. It's like so different. It's so interesting to see how each place is like unique. Yeah.
Y'all this, y'all that.
Well, I'm gonna add on to that too.
Go ahead, yeah.
So I think it was like a couple years ago, probably like 8 years ago, I flew out with my family to El Salvador, which is our like maiden land where my parents are from. And the pop culture is very different from here. A lot of difference. You normally don't see kids work at a young age over here, but you see a lot of them work at a young age over there. Many don't go to school because they can't really afford to go to school, and some that do go to school have to like walk to school. So like a lot of the pop culture is very different from here and there, from what I saw when I went.
I'll talk about what meaning it brings to my experience per se. I think one of my biggest things is music. I don't make it because I'm not talented, but I do listen to a lot of it. I like a lot of it. I probably have music going like 90% of my day, and it changes a lot based on my mood or what I'm doing, like whether I'm studying or working out, whatever. But I took a music class last semester just about like the sociology of music and how music tastes change as you grow up and all that stuff. So it's one of my kind of favorite subcultures because I'm just super into music and it plays a pretty large part of my life.
Question: what's your favorite genre? Or your top two?
It changes a lot. I would say probably in the last I really got into it like when quarantine happened, like last March. I started listening to a lot of alternative, like Mount Joy and all those people. But it was just like relaxing music and it was never like too intense. And so I like got into that just because quarantine was lonely times. So I was just feeling that kind of mood. And I really enjoy that music. Now I've kind of learned to like listen to it and still be happy. So, but yeah, I've been into alternative a lot lately.
Nice.
What about you?
I like hip hop and R&B. In high school, like I was a cheerleader and I was on the hip hop dance team. So, and I was in ROTC. So I kind of have like different sides to me. Like I remember, just a side story. I remember like my 7th period was ROTC and I was like doing push-ups and yelling at people. And then the 8th period, I was a cheerleader. And I was like, hey guys.
I couldn't be more opposite of the spectrum right there.
So I'm used to like uppity music and fun music. And then on my own, like if I'm just chilling, I'll probably listen to R&B. But if I'm like in the car, I want my bass to boom. So turn up some hip hop.
Yeah, I feel that.
Actually, what about y'all? What about everybody? What's your music taste?
For me, I don't know. I like switch on my moods too. I'm kind of dabble into pretty much like any kind of music, but I think the most, or the thing that I've been listening to the most, oh gosh, I don't even know. I do listen to a lot of old too, or R&B. I listen to a lot of Spanish music too, because just kind of my background. And my boyfriend has really gotten me in a lot of more country, so that too.
Okay.
Really just depends on what I'm feeling, and it's gloomy today, so I'll probably listen to like slower music today. But yeah, it just kind of changes depending on how I'm feeling.
True.
I'm like that too, but like my main genres would have to be like just pop and like K-pop, basically.
Yeah. Heck yeah. And I know this is random question. Well, not super random. But in the group chat, we had talked about our different signs. So like, what are y'all signs? I'm a Pisces. So I'm like, hey guys, how's it going?
I'm a Gemini, but both my parents are Pisces as well. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm a Gemini. I don't know. I feel like Gemini's get a lot of hate for being like two-faced or kind of crazy, but I promise I'm not. What are you guys?
I'm an Aquarius.
I'm a Cancer. I'll be honest, I don't really know what that means. Someone told me that once. They did tell me it means I'm sensitive and nice. But yeah, I'd say both those things are pretty true about me. But I try not to dig into it. I'm one of those people. If I dig into it, I will get way too in my head. And I'll let it control my life, I swear. So I just won't ever read the definitions. I refuse to.
I actually love astrology. Like, I'm so committed to it. Like, I read it every day about my day. Like, the way I think about it, it's like, obviously you can control your life even if you read something, you don't have to like
I think that's true.
This is
No.
my life now.
I always found it interesting, but I'm just one of those. I'm like superstitious. So like if I read about, I don't know, like one time I was like someone told me I was a Cancer, and this was the only time I ever looked anything up. And I was talking to this girl, and she told me what she was, and so I looked up how compatible they were. It was the worst thing I ever could have done because then I started reading into it like heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I've done
okay,
that
all right,
too.
what do I have to do to get this girl? What kind of shit does she like? I'm looking through it. And it worked for a little while, but that was a bad decision because I ended up just ruining everything anyways. So I was like, I'm just gonna let the universe take it next time.
Websites matter too. Honestly, just do you. Just forget about it. Just forget about
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not responsible enough to be on those sites.
Well, my boyfriend, he's a Scorpio. So actually, when I did look it up, we're actually like the most compatible. Like we're 100% compatible, which is like weird because I didn't think that was the thing. But like we're super. So I like to remind him that every other day. I'm like, it's like, oh, Jesus. Oh, did we time this guy?
We're at 19 minutes right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, how about like Liliana, I don't think you've said what it brings meaning to your experience yet or anything. We could just do those last couple
Meaning
things.
to
We'll
my-
be in our limit.
I think like the different pop cultures I've seen bring a lot of meaning because like we learn something new every day. So with every experience like that I've like seen through has like really changed my perspective of like how things in the real life work. So
I don't think I ever really addressed the question directly, but I mean, there's like so many things that influence culture and that really influence us on a day-to-day basis. So like what we were talking about, like music, maybe even like astrology could be a form of pop culture. Really just anything that we do. I mean, just watching movies is a form of pop culture. So I mean that like just influences me on like a day-to-day basis.
I totally agree. Well, we made it.
Good.
okay, do you want me to stop recording? Yes.
Yeah, I think you can.